Good day, everybody. This summer, for about a month ago, I was at a place here in Norway called Austrått Fort. It lays around 2 hours from my home. I never been here before, and I always wanted to check this place out. This place and the Canons and the stuff you see on this movie is actually taken from Gneisenau, the German warrior ship during World War II. Um, and I won't be saying that much during these pictures. They are about 5 seconds each. Some of them are 10 seconds, just for me to talk a little about them. The first thing you did see in the start of this clip is actually you can call it a observation tower. They did use that to give information to the main cannon, to tell the length and elevation of the shell. And the picture you'd see here a little earlier was the sea, was actually the main sea going into Trondheim. And you have seen pictures of the outside of the turret. It has three barrels, and I think it's one of the last ones that is still intact, and it's not operational anymore, but it was until the late 70s. It has never been used to shoot at any ships or anything. It has fired some shots, actually from the Gneisenau itself, and when the Germans were starting to build a fortress here in Norway during the World War II, they actually took this gun from the Gneisenau and put it up in this mountain. The gun was actually in some decent bad shape, because every time you did fire a shell through the turret, it did actually eat up some of the metal when it did go out. So the turret was, that I was told, was actually pretty worn out, but it was still in good condition to be used. I think that the length that it could shoot was 4.5 kilometers, but when they did test it after the World War II, and to see how badly the cannon or how much it could shoot, it was 3.7 kilometers left. So it's still a lot, but it was weakened because every time they did fire, I think it was 2 to 3 millimeters from the metal in the turrets was actually torn out with a shell. You did see a little back here. There were 3 engines. The main engine, the biggest one, was actually one that did the power everything in the Canon. The 2 other ones were used to like air and hydraulics and everything else. There was also a stairwell, some shower rooms, sleeping rooms, accommodations, and one with 2 pipes there. It was actually the kitchen area. Right now I see we're actually in the 5th floor of the Canon, and we're going towards up. You can see the loading mechanisms for the shells, and the 2 types of shells. I think it's high explosive and armor penetration piercing. Here you can actually see the containers for the fuel that they use to fire the shells. Now we are in the 3rd floor. This is the room where they did where they did inject and lift the ammunition upstairs to the first floor. And this is a stair going from the lowest point towards the top. This is actually if some of the hydraulics did fail, you can actually hand crank the turret around. It didn't work, of course. Canon has been standing for 40 years. Here is from the third floor up to second to the first floor. And here we are up in the main room. The most impressive thing at all is that they actually did dismantle the whole thing, and they did mantle it again in this mountain. And everything did work at the end of the 70s.